Sorry, folks.
A little loud, but gorgeous music by the one and only Alan Eakins. Thanks for that, Alan. Vinny, take us away here.
All right, folks. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vince Green.
I'm your host, Noel and Vinnie. Definitely wearing pants.
And we are Pair Rankers. And this week we're going to be talking about our best movie soundtracks, or our favorite ones, if you want to use correct grammar. But like Noel, so I'm a bestie, you're a bestie. These are all the besties, whatever. So Noel, we're here to talk about soundtracks, and like there's very few things that a movie really needs or a movie has in its arsenal that can amplify it more than its visuals. And one of those things has to be a good score, a good soundtrack, and it can really make the cinematic experience and take it to a new level altogether. Because music, like intrinsically, hits us, or maybe not intrinsically. It's like, but movies, music, it just has this natural ability to hit us in a completely different way than visuals, and it kind of just lights up a different part of our brain, and it kind of helps us coalesce these memories that we've had in the past, because you often link it, like you hear a song and you link it to a certain period of your life or whatever, like the big hits of the 90s or whatever, the big hits from when you're young, or the big hits from when you got your first girlfriend or whatever, and all these songs, and they kind of coalesce in your memory, and they create this kind of memory bank that's attached to music in a whole separate way than the way your brain would work with visuals. And I think that's what soundtracks and scores do. They heighten the cinematic experience, and they create these kind of different connections for the viewer to the material they're watching, because there's movies on these lists that if you take the soundtrack out, and the movies themselves wouldn't be the same as they are, you know?
Exactly. And that's it. And a lot of times you have to understand a lot of movies just have scores.
Yeah.
And they have just these wonderful pieces of music. They're just designed for it.
Yeah.
And then you have some films that go more like what songs that are out there in the public space would really, really, really amplify this for us. Mm. And I suppose they're probably going to be the ones we're going to explore more, because they're easier to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
And actually talk about. But you're absolutely right. A lot of these times, these movies, these scores are... soundtracks are affecting you in ways you don't really understand, but these absolutely fantastic scenes would not be the same if you don't remember that particular music playing in the background.
Yeah,
you think about the scene, but you rarely just kind of go, oh yeah, don't forget that such a song by such and such a person was playing.
Dude, how many times have you heard a song and you go, oh, I'd love to remember that was in that fucking movie. I have to watch that movie now. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like
and it's a feeling. It's a feeling as well. Like, you know, it just takes you to a place.
It's in a different part of your brain completely, isn't it? Like, it
really is. Yeah.
Like, nothing can root you to a specific moment in your life like music can. Like, it really can. Like when we were growing up together, like when I was like 15 years ago, just say Blind Melon is something we listened to non-stop.
Oh, God.
Bob Marley.
Blue in the Face.
Pantera. Metallica, like, you know what I mean? We used to listen to these bands non-stop, or in a Tool, you know what I mean? Like, so, and like we listened to all these, and forevermore, when I listen to like Bob Marley, Blind Melon, and it brings me straight back to that summer, like that summer. You know the summer I'm talking about.
The summer you're talking about.
We had a crazy summer once upon a time. It was awesome, and like it just brings me back to that summer so often. Anytime I listen to Blind Melon, Bob Marley, Metallica, Pantera,
exactly, it anchors you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And immediately you're back there. You can like almost, I'm on the green again. We're just fucking chilling. Like we're having a few drinks, and you can just picture it immediately. And like that's what I'm saying with music and the way it pairs itself with visuals. That even though it pairs itself with visuals beautifully, that sometimes just the music alone can create these visuals that you've had in your past, because it anchors you back to this sort of
100%.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man, and so important. And that's why you decided that a really good subject matter for us would be to look at the best soundtracks from movies, and maybe like the movies that we've chosen might not be everyone's list, but music is so personal that I think
hugely and abstract, and all of the above.
Exactly. So I think with this list that it's going to have a lot of personality to it, and you're going to see a lot of Vinnie and Noel in our list, and it might not be what other people would see from their list.
But tell us below what you think.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so I just think with music, it's so personal that our lists are one of the few times where our list might actually vary massively. It might be in this one here. So
okay, do you want me to get the ball rolling? Then?
You want to go first? All right, no,
I'll go. Yep, I'll shoot.
Give it your number 5, motherfucker.
Trainspotting.
Hugh McGregor.
changed the game. Do
He's
you
like a fine
remember?
wine.
And this is when I was making the point that imagine the scene without the song.
Mm.
Imagine the whole choose life, choose this. Imagine without Lust for Life.
Yeah.
Playing in the background, him falling over the front of the car, and instead of like, oh, I'm hurt, him looking at the person in the car, just smiling like a maniac and just bolting. That all of that.
Danny Boyle is such a good fucking director.
You know, and it had Lou Reed, it had Primal Scream, it had Underworld, it had Pulp, and all these bands that were so active at the time as well.
Yeah.
Iggy Pop, obviously, and it was
screamed
just
of the 90s.
Screamed of the 90s.
Yeah.
And there were songs.
And I loved that. I loved it.
And it was just a soundtrack. Oh, yeah, absolutely. This was just a soundtrack. They really were. And this was the soundtrack of that summer, of that year, 1996. Yeah. Everything was about Trainspotting. This film owned the airwaves in it, both visual and audio, and the soundtrack is a huge part of that. So easily, again, I've been debating with myself about what's 5, what's 4, because there's so much to choose from.
Yeah.
But like, Trainspotting is in at a number 5. And if you pushed me yesterday to make a list, it might go higher. It's a great, it's a great entry in my opinion.
Yeah,
Trainspotting.
If there's one director, there's a handful of directors out there that got an excellent understanding of how to pair sound with the visuals, and Danny Boyle is definitely near the top of that list. Like,
he has to be.
Sunshine, my God, like fucking 28 Days Later, fucking hell, The Beach. Not a great movie, but the soundtrack's fucking awesome, and like so, like and come back to Trainspotting. This movie is almost flawless. The sequel's even awesome too. Like, so it's exactly what you said. Like, it captures that moment in time perfectly. Not just the music, but the movie itself. Like Glasgow back in the 90s, I think it's set, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, it's Glasgow back in the 90s, and a bunch of junkies just literally trying to get through it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's such an iconic movie. The soundtrack's fucking awesome. You got Hugh McGregor, Robert Carlyle, Danny Boyle, like, you know, so it's left its legacy on the cinematic world, like, in so many ways.
It'll be talked about in 50. It'll be talked about long after we're gone. People will still see Trainspotting.
Well, I'll still be here in 50 years, dude. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, that's who I am. That's who I am.
All right, man, hit me with your number 5.
1 second there, dude.
You're lining her up. So you better be able to like run with the big dogs, because I came here with Trainspotting.
Fucking hell. I'm trying to get my images up here. Sorry, dude.
Oh, wow.
It's not letting me minimize my screen here.
Oh, wow. And now we all have to sit in it.
Oh, I know. It's horrible. Shit. What am I going to do?
Choose being better prepared. Choose having your images lined up for the
here we go. Here we go. No, I just need a back door because Zoom doesn't let you fucking minimize its screen when you're recording, the bastard.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, so here we are. Sorry, I got a back door in here.
Hit me with your rhythm stick.
All right, my numero 5 is like a movie that, when I say it got elevated by its soundtrack, this is one of the best examples, and it's an iconic movie mainly due to its soundtrack. Not only did it tell a true story, it's a great true story in all this, but the soundtrack itself captured the moment in time, like we talked about Trainspotting, and it elevated the movie. And the soundtrack itself might be better than the movie, and that is the Denzel Washington movie, Remember the Titans.
Well done. You know what? I know I've seen the film an awfully long time ago. Can't remember much about it, so just, you know, as they say on the Reddit forum, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah,
walk me through it, man.
So pretty much, like, there's very few more iconic periods in time than America during the 60s and 70s, and this is when that's during the civil rights movement. And this movie is all about one of the very first integrated schools and integrated American football teams, and that means that kids from the African American school were allowed to go to the white school, and they were allowed to be educated together. There's no longer segregation of the races, and that meant that the two football teams from the two schools were kind of coalesced into one team. And so you had the racial tension and showing that people are able to get past the racial tension. It shows you how sports unifies. But not only that, the soundtrack from that era was the songs from that era are so iconic, and it has pretty much nearly every fucking famous song you can imagine from that era. And like, Remember the Titans, that it's so intrinsically linked with music, because like even the players when they come out to the field, they're singing songs and shit like that, and it's a way of them bonding. And like, you have such a great young cast in it as well that ended up going and doing loads of different things in lots of different ways. And it's not just an iconic movie because it captures an iconic moment in time, the American civil rights debate and the integration of schools and the after effects and all that, but it was able to capture that songs and the sound of that time. And when you capture the sound of that time, and when you're catching the political mood at that time and using the songs to enhance and to give people a better understanding of the political nature and the civil unrest, that like it's not a world-class movie. Remember Titans, but in terms of sports movies, it's fucking up there for me, and the soundtrack just enhances it even more so.
Okay, well, that's just absolutely spectacularly explained, and it does when you're talking about a serious subject and a moment in time that matters, and you get together a great cast and stuff like that, it's such a hurdle to fall at if you don't get the right music.
Yeah,
and I also feel like some of the songs that, and my second to next get pair of rankers edition will kind of exemplify it. But sometimes you feel like you actually know a director a little bit better just based on the music that he's chosen.
Yeah,
there's something that feels so deeply personal about the way they attach music to something that's so, to a vibe, to a moment, to a piece of storytelling. And it sounds like an absolutely exciting. It sounds like one I need to reconnect with, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So I don't want to comment too much, because I'd rather not say much than talk out my ass. But it sounds like an absolutely incredible film, and Denzel Washington's in it. So
like, is there a safer pair of hands?
Oh my god, maybe not.
Like,
maybe
does he even know how to make a bad movie? In all fairness,
he's been...
because he's so charismatic and he's such a good actor that everything he makes seems good. Because
he can even do the less is more thing.
Yeah,
he can do so much with silence and stillness.
He can play a tough guy. He can play a warm-hearted person. He can play an anti-hero. He can play a villain. Like, he can do anything. He can do anything he wants. It's insane.
He could talk me out of my pants that I'm definitely wearing.
He's definitely wearing pants.
All right, I'm going to just roll into this. I'm cheating, and this is just
like a Denzel Washington movie. Noel's pants have fallen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was kind of like a semi-biopic rock drama kind of thing that came out. But when I was a kid, it was my first introduction to Prince.
Yeah.
And that was the 1984 Purple Rain. Which was his acting debut. Now it's unfair to really kind of count it, because obviously there was an actual album studio release.
I just want to tell people that we didn't play a Prince song there. That was just me singing. I don't want to get sued because of my
I know. Vocals. Yeah,
it's just but songbird of my generation. I think someone called me, but whatever, they call me that. Whatever, not me. I don't call myself these things, but I gradually accept them as gifts of showing how humble I am.
If it will get you off my back.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I am so humble, but I accept these gifts. I'm probably the best person at being humble. Sorry, enough about my on never-ending humbleness. Noel, back to you.
This was a surprisingly good acting debut for a pop star. And if you ask me what a pop star is or what a pop star should be, I'm going to tell you, this fucking guy right here, he could do everything. He could play guitar, he could play bass, he could play keyboards, he could play drums, he could do everything. And this had When Doves Cry, I Would Die for You, Purple Rain, Baby I'm a Star. And he was only 8 inches tall. But and it's complete and total cheat. But I don't care. This song, this introduced me to Prince, and Prince is the greatest pop star of all time. And it was actually a really well acted film.
As Chris Rock says, do you remember that arguments we used to have growing up? Who's better, Prince or Michael Jackson? Well, Prince won.
Yeah. Prince is just a genius, like an actual genuine genius, and that word gets thrown around. Kanye, usually by Kanye attaching it to him, sadly, an actual virtuoso. I'm a bass player, I respect him as a bass player, and any guitarist I know respects him as a guitarist. He had enough of everything and a lot. And no, he was just phenomenal. And this was just, I don't know, getting to spend some time with the artist in this kind of semi-imagined kind of scenarios that they were building in the film. It was just a great introduction to a great artist. And Purple Rain, 1984, and the album Purple Rain that subsequently came out, is my number 4. And I'm cheating, and I don't care. It's my list.
Yeah, my rebuttal. Rebuttal is not a long one. I have never seen this movie. I'm a pretty big fan of Prince. I wouldn't be the biggest fan of Prince. But I've obviously heard all his major hits. He's been around forever. He's a fucking world-class musician, world-class superstar, world-class pop star. Everything he puts his hands, he's like King Midas. When it comes to entertainment, everything he touches turns to gold. And
death is the only thing to stop them, man.
Yeah,
death is the only thing to stop them.
It's the only thing in this world that remains undefeated. That in the internet.
Yeah, well, actually, that's it. You're absolutely right. And he was at it absolutely all the time. And he's the one, again, I'm a heavy metal guy, I'm a prog rock guy. Yeah. But it's I'm more
of a fraggle rock guy.
I will fight a bitch for Prince. I will fight a bitch for Prince.
Classic
and
joke.
Fraggle Rock. Like Fraggle Rock. No, but Prince.
Come down to Fraggle Rock. Come down to
better
Fraggle
Rock.
Rock.
Soundtrack than a film. But like, I'm sorry, it's technically a film, and the soundtrack's incredible, and I just couldn't not ahead it in my list.
Can we play Fraggle Rock's theme tune just not have this episode be monetized? Down Fraggle Rock. So listen to that at the end of the day.
I was just yeah. Just need to get out of my system. All right, so mine is quite simple. There's not much to delve into because, again, it was more of a soundtrack than a film, oddly enough.
It's once again, it's going to be, as I said to you on the outset, this of all the lists is going to be more personalized than any other list we've done. And I think that's where we're going to have such wide varieties, because not only will the movies have to speak to us, but the music that's attached to the movies will have to speak to us to make our list. And like you picking Prince, you're a much bigger Prince fan than me. So obviously that was going to make your list, and it was your first exposure to Prince. And the fact that was your first exposure to one of the greatest music icons of all time, obviously, you know what I mean, and your relationship with him, that his music, it just shows you that, again, that this list is going to probably be more personalized than any of the lists that we've ever done, and it's probably going to see the most variety. So my number 4, when I'm done with all my jabbing, is one of the most iconic movies of all time, done by one of the most iconic directors of all time, who's probably one of the best, apart from maybe one or two other directors, at accompanying music to his visuals, and that is Quentin Tarantino. And it could have been any of his movies, really, but I picked Pulp Fiction. Like, you know, is there? Did you just jump up to your number 3?
I might as well. Like, I mean, I just get you the snap. Moment,
like everything about this movie is iconic. Even that image behind your heads.
And again,
iconic. Thurman, like, so cool.
Whenever it's a case of thinking you know a director a little bit better based on the soundtrack, it's always most true of Quentin Tarantino. You could just picture a kid with an old record player.
It was a toss-up for me between Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Same as.
Yeah, because they're so good. They're so good. Like, and
you get bang, bang, he shot me down. The whole scene is incredible.
And the way he uses, like, Asian music and Japanese music and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, you can imagine this a guy that spends almost as much time in the music as he does on the editing floor as he does at the studio, because it just means so much. It needs doom, sorry, what's the other big one? Mr. Pink, Mr. Black.
Oh, Reservoir
Dogs, and that was another one. Like,
we should just do like a Tarantino special.
But Tarantino is in of themselves just fantastic. It's look, these are the songs I like, and it's almost like they shaped me, and now I shape movies, and it's just I can just slap those songs in. It's just like one thing feeding another aspect of them that feeds another aspect of them, and it just works. Phenomenal soundtrack.
It's just, and like, just seems to be like that the music amplifies not just his music, or not just his movies, but him as a director, and it's like it gets him up and more. Like, probably, like, I bet you he doesn't feel really excited about his movies until he gets the songs in his head, and then he starts really visualizing like this. Like, because there's so many times where I've been in a row where I'm trying to write some shit and I'm trying to get some shit done, where I will literally play one tune. I will find an hour-long loop on YouTube, and I'll find that one tune, I'll just play it in a loop. And that's how what music does. It just kind of helps you visualize things and helps you
get lost in something.
Helps you ignite different parts of your brains. And I'd say Quentin Tarantino, being like the way his movies are so like symbiotic in the way they're paired with the music, that like you couldn't imagine certain scenes without those soundtracks. Look at that dance sequence with Thurman and John Travolta. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a teenage wedding, and like, you like, you know what I mean? It's like everything about that, the dancing, the soundtrack, everything, the setting in like the 1950s diner. Like, you know, it's a pretty good milkshake, but I'm not sure if it's worth $5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's fucking shows, like, everything about that movie is iconic, and the reason it's even more so iconic is the soundtrack, the setting, and how he like just enhances everything with the music. And you can pick like Inglourious Basterds, you can talk about Reservoir Dogs, you talk about Kill Bill 1 and 2, you can talk about any movie, Django Unchained, any movie he's ever made, that literally you could put that in one as any number on these lists, and it would be perfectly warranted, because he is so talented at picking soundtracks and scores and pairing them with the fucking movie. And
that's it. And most times it's soundtracks, not like you say like, oh, by the way, I need you, genius, Oscar-winning person who's wrote a multitude of scores, and the person comes in and then there's a gunfight and then somebody shows up and he'd be like, okay, yeah, and he's painting pictures with words and I'm going to paint music with those pictures and etc and that's fantastic. But imagine you just sitting there kind of going, and I was thinking the Iggy Pop Lust for Life. What do you mean? I was just going, no, just the whole thing. Iggy Pop, Lust for Life, the first 4 minutes, the whole song, start to finish.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. We can approach it more artistic. No, it's gonna be fine. And that's it. And that's what Danny Boyle does. That's what he does.
I think that's what he said. He goes into like his record collection and he goes through them and go like, and that's when he starts getting excited about the movie and starts visualizing it and shit. That like when he starts going through his records and it's like, as you said, he just has this song in his head and he probably listens to the song and he starts writing the scene based on the song more so than the song.
See, that's the inception of it, man.
Yeah,
I don't know that you're right and I don't know that you're wrong. And I think you're both, given any scenario.
Or he outlines the scene and then expands on it based on the song.
It's the same. Like I've had moments when I was a kid and stuff, and I used to daydream all of the time and just try and write little stories in my head. And
I call them school days.
Same as actually. But do you know those? And I know this is a score, not a song. But when Terminator 2's I
think it's Brad Fiedel. I think did the score for that.
Okay, you're brilliant at the kind of behind the camera stuff. But I just remember like that was like the theme tune in my head for anything that like whenever I was down or I needed a comeback moment, just in your head you'd have
man, that like,
powerful.
Yeah, man, like it's that fucking score for T2 is fucking awesome, man.
Oh, it's amazing. But that's what I mean. We both kind of went for soundtracks, and that's like something like you could just slap on, and it's songs by various artists.
Yeah,
and that's the way it was. Like obviously, Star Wars is going to have like a soundtrack of like, oh, it's this band or it's this band. No, it was scored, and that's different, and that's great, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, it's a slightly different list.
That's a different episode.
It's a different episode. That's it. It's no disrespect.
And we love to milk content.
And we love to milk content.
Yeah, so what we do is we like to play with wording so we can do a lot of similar stuff, but it makes
I think our next pair of rankers should be best episodes of Pair of Rankers. Rank the ranking.
Rank the rankers. It's a rank off, people. It's a rank off. So yeah, okay. So that's my number 4. That's your number 3. So let's just throw me to the wolves again, and I jumped the shark, but I was still going first. But it's just the fact that we had the same one, so I did a jinx. Yeah, but that's your number 3, and that was my number 4, so I go again.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah,
you go again.
Rightfully should. Do you know why you should apologize?
Because I'm wrong.
No, because I am a man of constant sorrow.
Sorrow, brother, right over my radar. Phenomenal choice.
Yeah, man. Fucking love this movie. Oh man, can't tell you how much I love this fucking movie.
I remember the Ku Klux Klan scene where the guy gets up. Oh my god, I get a shiver. I walked. I don't know where I was. I can't remember it exactly. But I was very young, just a teenager. And I went to a house. We got a few sneaky beers somehow. I can't remember anything except somebody threw on this film, and I said, "What's the film?" And I went, "Oh, brother, where out thou?" And I said, "Fine," because that name means nothing to me. But not just that I didn't know the film; it's just that name itself doesn't tell me a terrible lot. It's not like Star Wars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it's not.
Well, that movie's wrong anyway. It's like wars amongst the stars.
Yeah.
Because there's never any wars on stars.
Planet battles.
Battles, exactly.
There it is. Yeah. Anyway, but
I digress.
I didn't realize that it turned out to be one. They'll give this place its own geological oddity. 3 weeks from everywhere, or 2 weeks from everywhere, or whatever it was.
Man.
But when the Klan guy,
I'm not a fuck man, goddammit. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Yeah, I'm a Dapper Dan man, damn it. But you know when the guy got up and sang "Oh Death," I always got a chill because he was such a dark man, like a dark character, and you were expecting him to get up, and he was just going to espouse the most hateful and dangerous rhetoric. Like it was a heavy moment. Somehow, when the song came in, it wasn't quite as heavy, but it also didn't joke about the deference, the horror of it, and they just sang "Oh Death," and I just remember thinking that's brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, because it's a really
Won't you tie me over for another year?
Yeah, oh man, it's like oh Dad.
Oh, I'm getting chills. I haven't. Oh
Man.
God,
That's another song we're gonna have to listen to.
Oh God,
Fraggle Rock into that. We should go Death first and then Fraggle Rock to cheers up afterwards.
And I am a man of constant sorrow. The actual song, what a song,
man! Like the movie itself is so serious. And it captures again a moment in time what it's like around that area, around the plantation era of America. And like, but at the same time, is you got three fucking idiots that are bumbling their way through this incredibly serious and dark world.
Ass upwards,
you know what I mean? Like, it's such a brilliantly done story, and
it's all those Greek mythologies that they're tying into.
Yeah, it's pretty much all about Homer's Odyssey in a lot of ways. Like, you know what I mean? That's
if you're watching this and you haven't seen Our Brother Where Art Thou, you have failed somewhere along the way.
It's one of
this might fix it.
It's one of the smartest movies around, and it's so underestimated. And it's not only smart, it's so funny, and it's so fucking catchy. The songs are. Like,
I won't even go. I actually would go as far as to say, bar my number one, which we both, I think, we might be leading the same place because we're both big fans. But bar my number one, this would have made my list. Yeah, maybe it would have been my number one. You know what? This is just a phenomenal choice, man. I've nowhere to go. I am gutted with myself for not.
I sang that song for years after I saw this movie. For the first time I saw this movie, I think I watched it about 5 times in the following 2 years.
There's 2. Okay. So sometimes I've got attention deficit. So sometimes I daydream, and sometimes I sing a song, and sometimes you might be singing an Alice in Chains song, and you might just be going down an escalator and you're going, "Hail to the wood again." And it's fine. Somebody's walking by you thinking, dude's feeling his own thing. Now, I used to do this song sometimes.
Yeah.
I am a man. I'm constant sorrow. Psychotic.
Yeah.
You think you're psychotic. It's not the same, like, Asher is just living his best life, but it's everything
about that movie is almost perfect. It's almost perfect.
What was the one? It was the 3 ladies cleaning, doing laundry or something by the river, but down by the
river to pray, studying
about them good old days.
And who should wear the thorny crown?
Good Lord, show me the way.
And so the congregation in the woods are all singing like,
"Oh brother, let's go." And so much of it's a cappella.
Yeah,
so much of guitar in oh man, chills. I'm sorry. I've actually so much to say about this that we should move on. This is one of those, like, how do I draw, like, oh, this well is half enjoying it. I was like, I'm getting chills. All I want to do is talk about this movie.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to watch this movie tomorrow.
No, you know what? I don't think Sheila has seen this movie, and now I just realized how angry that makes me.
Yeah, I just want to tell anyone, like, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, if you haven't seen it, it's so fucking good.
Just say it tickles every fancy.
Yeah, and it's got a great
a bit of action. It's got tension.
George Clooney, and, like, you know what I mean. Like, it's like fucking Tim Fugit or something. I think
it's George Clooney at his best. George Clooney's
George Clooney, John Goodman, and Tim Blake Nelson, I think his name is.
There you go. And it's just a great choice. Yeah, just a great choice.
Such a good fucking movie. But that's my number 3. Noel, give me your number 2, motherfucker.
My number 2. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of a way to land this plane. I don't know. I suppose I just really liked this movie back in the day. Land the plane. It was Top Gun. It was Top Gun.
No danger zone. Do it. How did you not go like, oh, I'm going to enter into it? Danger zone.
Because Archer ruined the joke for me.
Archer,
or perfected the joke.
Just a little segue here, like a little side note. If anyone's never seen Archer, check that shit out. One of the best animated shows
of all time. But the guy loves that. We're in there. Don't say it.
Man, phrasing. Do we stop saying phrasing?
You know, like where the guys are like playing volleyball and stuff. Like, how do you not lose your audience during playing that? With a great goddamn soundtrack. That's how you don't lose your audience.
Yeah.
Great Balls of Fire, of course, but Goose.
Yeah. Take My Breath Away.
Just a phenomenal soundtrack, and the film.
The scary thing about
here's the thing: a song is a long thing, especially when you play it start to finish. You can't really put any dialogue in.
Yeah.
So you have to let the song just play, and you have to somehow keep telling your story. If not, forwarding your story. And they did this with some full ass songs. of just nobody fucking speaking.
The scary
This was
thing,
a great soundtrack.
the scary thing about it is, though, man, that's Tom Cruise from Top Gun 2 behind you. He just does not age.
You know what? The fact that it took my brain 1 second to catch up with you. Man, that dude turned 60 the other day. No way.
Same with Jennifer Connelly in Part 2. My God. Swear to God, man, that woman does not age. It's ridiculous.
She has always been an absolute fine wine of a woman. She is just great actress,
so
great actress, beautiful woman.
Yeah,
all
great
of
actress, fucking great actress, and she's been around forever. One of the few child actors that went on to become a world class adult actor as well.
But she's one of the few people that I would call an actor. You know what I mean? Like full on.
She's literally made every kind of movie. She went from like Requiem for a Dream to fucking
from Labyrinth to Requiem for a Dream to
the Rocketeer as well. And
the Rocketeer,
we got Battle Angel, Top Gun 2. Like she has made everything, and she's always amazing.
Hulk.
Jennifer Connelly, amazing.
It just goes on and on, man. It just goes on and on. But anyway, sorry. Top Gun, for reasons that have been really, unlike Oh Brother Where Art Thou, which I think for some people who might be watching this could be a hidden gem. Top Gun hardly is. It's on TV all the time. Top Gun Maverick is becoming one of the most popular films of the age.
It's the first $1 billion movie this year.
Well, there you go. But Top Gun, the original, had a absolutely phenomenal soundtrack.
Great cast.
Yeah, and it just captured of everything we touched so far. And I even include Oh Brother Where Art Thou, again, homage. This one captured its era just perfectly.
That's the thing. Like
that was the jukebox in the bar in 1986. It just was. That was the jukebox in the bar that you were drinking in 1986. That's perfect.
Like the commonality a lot of these movies have, that they either captured the era they were made in, or they captured the era that they're set in with the soundtrack. And I think that's the kind of the commonality a lot of these movies have, that like when you look at like a Pulp Fiction that captured the 90s so perfectly, Top Gun, the 80s, and that kind of macho-ness of the military at the time. And look, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, you're talking about the Deep South, you're in plantation era America, and it captures that moment in time. And I think that's the only commonality of these movies, because they're so varied, that the only commonality that really have the strength that we both looked for was, did it capture the era it was set in, or the era that was made in, and did it really make me feel nostalgic for that time, or did it give me a sense of what that time was like to live in?
And it would have been way too wordy to actually be a pair of rankers. You need something snappy you can just bounce off. But if that was the question, like, I mean, if we put all that into a question and said, fuck it, we'll go for it, that would be number one for me. Like right off the bat, before I do a Google search, before I have a think about it, just that was just, again, like dark shades, playing beach ball, playing volleyball, and all of that. No, Top Gun was a product of its age, and a fantastic one. All right, man.
Before I give you my number 2, man, all I want to say to you is, you can be my wingman any day.
Oh, you could be mine.
Oh, it's bullshit. You can be mine. Jesus, Noel. It was a soft setup. Soft setup. Fuck's sake. Jesus, that was a rough comeback. Can we edit that out? No, I'm leaving it in. I hate it's too fresh. All right, so pretty much you picked Top Gun, iconic movie, had a world-class sequel. I saw it there a few weeks back. Fucking
good to hear. I haven't seen it, but I am going to see it.
He literally, being Tom Cruise, being a psychopath now, they actually flew all those jets, all the actors did. It's crazy. What the guy that's playing Hangman is going for his pro license soon. When the female actor, and I can't remember her name, but seemingly she's a world-class pilot, one of the Top Gun fucking trainers said. So it's amazing what Tom Cruise makes himself do, pushes his fucking cast and crew to do.
Yeah.
It's a world-class movie.
And if you don't want to do it, there's plenty you will. Yeah.
It's a really, really fucking iconic soundtrack as well, like in both movies. So, but like, talking about soundtracks, like, and we talk about how actors and directors and all this, how directors and filmmakers and creators pair their movies with the sound, and how oftentimes they'll have a song in their head before they make the movie or whatever, and you said they'll pick a specific song. But if there's anything that is that exemplified and amplified to its fullest, and that has to be Baby Driver. And not only is the soundtrack incredible, but it's literally central to the plot, because the Ansel Elgort, the driver, Baby, he literally has a problem with like tinnitus, and the only way he can drown out that is constantly listening to music. and literally the music he's listening to on his iPod or whatever is the soundtrack for the movie for the most part. And the way it's done, the choreography, everything is completely in line with the music, and it's just a work of art. And the only good thing that came out of Edgar Wright not making Ant-Man is Baby Driver, and we're so fucking lucky that we got this movie. It's so good.
I've only ever seen segments of this movie. It looks incredible.
So
I don't know why I haven't sat down to watch this movie, because all I ever hear is brilliant things.
Such a clever action movie, so cleverly done. Edgar Wright is such a.
Is it kind of got that one sequence feel? Is it real time? Is it real time or close to real time?
Like, no, it's like literally pretty much Baby is a getaway driver and he has tinnitus. So while he's doing getaway, like while he's getting away from the cops and shit, he listens to music. And the music he's listening to is the soundtrack. So like he's driving in tune with the music at times. And he's like, and the shit that's going on, the action actually goes almost in perfect coordination with the music at times, because the music itself is completely intertwined into this character. It's not just the plot, but this character is listening to his favorite songs, and the shit that he listens to is like so incorporated with the fucking with the movie and the character and the plot. And it's one of the few times where you see this, where the music, the soundtrack itself is such a huge part of the plot. And it's so well executed by the cast, the crew, the director, and the musicians, whatever you want to say. It's such a good fucking movie. It's one of the smartest action movies you'll ever see.
Awesome. I mean, that's a hard sell, but Jesus Christ, go for it. Yeah. Especially if the film is as good as the soundtrack is as good as the film.
Yeah.
And it comes out on top.
But they're the exact same, like, because the soundtrack is the film and the film is the soundtrack.
The tinnitus angle seems to tie that into itself.
Yeah.
And if one had failed, the other one probably would have failed.
Exactly, yeah.
If you tie, because that's the sink or swim moment, isn't it? It's kind of like, I know it sounds a bit risky, but if we get it right, that's a clever ass fucking move.
So singular as well.
It's so singular, exactly. Yeah. And of all the things we touched on, it seems like one thing is, like, I mean, the person who's actually in the middle of your movie is listening to the song we're listening to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like Ewan McGregor, when he was running, he was actually hearing Lust for Life.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, that was just for our benefit. But this film takes that.
Have his Walkman on.
Of course not. No. So this one actually takes that to a very literal place, which connects you to Baby in the film. That's very cool. Yeah, that's smart.
And Ansel Elgort, I have to say, like, a guy with a fucking messed up name. He's one cool little motherfucker. I give him that. So, like, Noel, what's your number one, dude? Your numero uno, your head honcho, your big pick, your top cheese, your big cat. Oh, look. This fucking
for those of you,
obvious. Such an
for
obvious
those
pick.
of you just can only hear us in audio.
I
just went and threw up a picture of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Such an obvious pick, Noel. I would
but
never,
it is also correct.
Ever gone for Guardians of the Galaxy.
There it is.
My number one.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding,
yeah. Oh man.
From the get-go.
Awesome Mix Volume 1.
From the get-go.
I have listened to that full soundtrack at least 5 or 6 dozen times. At least. I literally have it on my MP4 player. When I was working in Dublin, I used to literally listen to that non-stop walking to work and walking to the bus and walking back. And I used to do it's literally 2K from the bus stop to where I used to work. Every day I was listening to that for about 6 weeks straight, and I never got fed up of it once. Not once.
The groove, the funk, the golden era of popular music.
Yeah.
Instead of the shit we have now. And I honestly, God, remember just like when the opening scene and how good Chris Pratt is in it, when he like picks up whatever passes for a toad on the planet he's on, and he sings into
There's a microphone,
yeah. And
come and get your love.
Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love now. And it was phenomenal. And it always felt right.
Music as well, like.
And music was his connection to his past. He was an 80s baby.
To his mother as well.
To his mother as well. And the second film, of course, has a great soundtrack, but can't touch the first. It's just, and that's no insult. The first is just that good.
Yeah, because I think they're making a Baby Driver sequel, but it's never going to have that first one feel.
No, it's never going to have the punchiness, is it?
Yeah.
And also, I remember when me and you have been making a joke for about a year now, tiresomely, as in like, we should do like, I think it was before Pair of Rankers came into existence. Like, we should do a podcast on like which film had the best soundtrack? Guardians of the Galaxy. Thanks for tuning in. You know, like not even debating it, just being done with it.
So well done.
Everything,
everything about it, like the VHS, the Walkman, like and how. And the reasons behind the
and
songs,
how aliens interact. You know, like Rocket Raccoon.
No, they're his mother's favorite songs. No,
yeah,
it's heartbreaking. No,
but like everyone just like. Everything, and he has a dance off at the end with Ronan the accuser, and it just, my God, it's just perfection. It's just perfection, and to see it brought into the Marvel universe, something that is so synonymous with kind of like, again, like the Tarantinos and the Danny Boyles and a lot of the directors and types of films we've touched on. I have to say, it was a really a real sharp turn left with Baby Driver. That's actually a very original concept, and I have to tip the cap to it. But this film that did that so well. It was this human out in the depths of space, and it was his connection to his mother. And it was also what kept him feeling like home wasn't so far away. So it had this real, actual, tentative kind of feel, but it was also silly because it was some of just the greatest, funkiest fucking shit you've ever heard.
And James Gunn is such a talented writer director too, as well. Like, you know,
and I've got a mask that I can digitally put on that can, like, and I've got boots that can help me fly, and I've got laser guns, and I got me a Walkman. I love that. I'll never not love it.
And he probably still thinks that's top line technology from back on Earth, because that was the last thing.
Because he doesn't know shit about shit. Exactly. He doesn't know shit about shit. Like,
he probably doesn't even really fully understand how long he's gone. Like, you know.
No. Of course, because again, this is the thing that always kind of mind you. Okay, what's a year?
Yeah, exactly.
What's a year? Because for us, it's how long it takes us to actually go around our local star. If you're an idiot who believes in a round Earth. Like a moron. Flat truth, David Weiss, full life.
I would actually love to talk to him again.
He was quite intimidated though.
I love how
he didn't like you. He did not like you.
I just thought, man, like,
shout out to Jukebox Ginger, who hosted
Stardom, Clash of the Casters. Check him out. He's up on YouTube.
2Ds, because it was a dumb way to spell Stardom.
And he also does. He also has his lounge going on right now. He's got some cool people coming over, jamming with Jukebox as well. That motherfucker is busy as a motherfucker. Like, he's so busy. But check him out. He's all over YouTube. Stardom is his channel name, I think.
Knowing that he doesn't have a soul, this Jukebox is it for lounge. Him. So he's trying to make it.
But yeah, check him out.
Solid. Actually, jokes aside, great dude.
Yeah, great dude. Great dude, great interviewer, great host. But like, Noel. So for both of us, Guardians of the Galaxy had to be our number one. Like it was probably obvious.
I know. I threw out the topic, and you were like, cool, and I was just like, well, that's the number one sorted, because again, it's been this in joke that we've had for so long now. It was never going to be any other way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's so fresh in the memory too. Like, so even if these other soundtracks had bigger effect on us when we heard them first,
true.
The Galaxy,
yeah.
So new.
With the exception of like Baby Driver, just isn't that old a movie?
Yeah, exactly.
This movie's 8 years old now. That first one, would you believe?
Baby Driver is around the same age as this, but probably after. I don't know what story was with the original Ant-Man when that was supposed to come out, but
right.
I think Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1 came out in the same phase. I think Ant-Man was the last of that
phase. Yes, but like phase
2, phase 3, phase 2, I think.
But no, it just felt right. Didn't everything in this kind of feel right? And again, even when he had that dance off, that silent dance off at Ronan the Accuser at the end, it's kind of like just him. He's not really. He doesn't have any soundtrack. He doesn't have anything going on, and he's just like hooked on a feeling.
Man,
on a feeling.
I would have literally like fucking shat my pants if like a Groot at the very end goes, instead of "We are Groot," he just looks him deadpan and goes, "We are family." Because Vin Diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. We are.
I love how Dominic Toretto, when he's in the middle of Brazil, is all of a sudden Brazilian. He's like, "This is Rio de Janeiro, motherfucker." Like, but dude, aren't you from like California or something? Like, chill the fuck out, maybe.
Yeah,
like, you know, because they will murder you. It's Brazil. Like, there, do not fuck around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I think like it was probably the most obvious choice outside of Pulp Fiction on both of our lists.
No, I would think if somebody was watching this or listening to this, and thank you if you have, I would think that it would be maybe in a lot of people's minds, but there's a lot of films out there, man. And there's a lot of amazing films
especially
that we'd have
music
not
as well.
touched on, like Taxi Driver or just, I mean, God, it goes on. What's the point of going into examples? There's too many examples. There's so many.
Yeah, come on. Before we get the fuck out of here, because we got our honorable mentions to mention, and then we can just fucking skedaddle right off into the sunset like golden soldiers of the yesteryear or something poetic. So Noel, talk to me, brother. What's your honorable mention?
Did you ever see the film Singles?
Singles,
1992. Not Matt Damon.
No, it's
Matt Dillon.
John Favreau movie. No, that's
it's from 1992.
Swingers, I'm thinking Swingers.
And it actually had.
Why is it so black and white? Is the movie?
Yeah, man. I looked up like 18 images of it. I know. Well, that's what it's supposed to be. But man, you'd love this. This had Wood by Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
It had Chris Cornell Seasons. It had
Rest in Peace.
Pearl Jam Breathe. It had Chloe Dancer by Mother Love Bone, who were the Nirvana before Nirvana. Their singer died in 1991. It was a grunge masterpiece. It had Eddie Vedder and Chris Cornell actually in the movie.
Wait, I have seen this movie. Matt Dillon's in it. Yeah, you said that already.
Matt Dillon, excuse me. I knew I messed that up.
Yeah.
My apologies for that. But
it's set in Seattle, isn't it?
It's set in Seattle. And it's set right, man. It's 1992.
Yeah.
It's chef's kiss.
Movie, yeah.
It's chef's kiss for the actual rise of grunge. And it's just,
I think
it almost feels like it documents it, you know?
I think someone actually told me about this movie to watch it for the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, huge. There's drinking games around it. There's all sorts of things for it. Like, yeah. And it's just iconic after iconic after iconic. A young Eddie Vedder and a young Chris Cornell, again, rest in peace. And just a phenomenal movie. And again, it just captures a moment in time that me musically, I feel so connected to, bar being a kid who would have been, I'm approaching middle age now, but I would have been 9 and I would have been on the other side of the world. But it was the music I grew up on all the same. So I would have felt so connected to it.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful film with some beautiful, beautiful music. And that's why I was like, again, it could have made my list. It didn't make my list. It's a definite honorable mention and emphasis on honor. What about you?
Yeah, like for me with Singles, like it's not a movie I've seen a bunch of times, but Seattle was the birthplace of grunge, and
that's not up for debate. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like when the city is so linked to a type of music, and to have a movie that is able to capture the feeling of that city in that time and how its relationship with that music and the way it affected people and the way people went about their lives because of it and shit like that. That it really, really did capture that moment in time in Seattle and how grunge and that city, like the whole raininess of it, it's one of the rainiest places on earth, and how people are so depressed and shit. Like, so like it is, Singles is a great choice, and like grunge music, like whether you love it or hate it, it has an indelible effect on you. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those musics. It's very heavy. It hits you very hard. When it's done right, it's absolutely can be a masterpiece. And Nirvana and Alice in Chains and stuff like this, like they did it in a way that no other people did a lot of times. Like, you know what I mean? So, and it's really, really is hard hitting music, and it's a fucking great movie as well. I haven't seen it in a long time, but my honorable mention, it's kind of hard for me to pick. I actually had another movie put down on my list here as well, so it's a really tough choice. So I'm going to throw up my first honorable mention, and then I'm going to throw up the other one that I couldn't pick, just to bend the rules a little bit, and that was Forrest Gump. And like Forrest Gump,
good choice.
Yeah, awesome movie. Not only does the movie itself capture this like this kind of like movement from the 50s, the 60s, and 70s in America, but the music that it uses like perfectly exemplifies the era and the feel of the era, like Vietnam, like late 50s America, and the whole like hippie movement in the 70s or in the 60s, sorry, in the 70s as well. But yeah, like the Summer of Love and all this. Excuse me. But I really told us this fantastic story through the eyes of this kind of like bumbling idiot, for lack of a better term, but had this kind of heart of gold, and he just kind of kept on falling accidentally into greatness. And the music at that time really was a very tumultuous time for America.
Yeah, teaching Presley how to dance and
meeting JFK and all this, like, and buying shares in Apple and stuff like that. Like, you know, that was a fruit company. Like, you know what I mean? It's just perfect little story that's very heartwarming, that captures a very serious moment in time, and it's a very like tumultuous period, as I said, and the music itself that was crafted in that era and that was created on the back of the civil rights movement, and how crazy the Vietnam story was, and the whole Summer of Love era with the hippies and all this thing. It was such a massive moment in time for America as a culture, and it like has so many of those massive songs from each decade that it's trying to encapsulate, and it's just fucking so well done. It's excellently done. Like Robert Zemeckis, I think, directed it, and it's so beautifully shot. The story's brilliantly done. Tom Hanks is world class in it, and Robert Zemeckis is a great fucking director at the peak of his powers, and he picks a fucking savage soundtrack to go with an absolutely iconic movie with an iconic movie star playing an iconic role. So Forrest Gump had to appear there somewhere for me. And the last one I want to show you, shit, I didn't actually put it up in my list initially because I was like, shit, Noel's already here, so he's going to see it, and I didn't want to give away the whole surprise of it all. But my last one is Goodfellas. I just want to give this a brief mention because on this list, I said there's one or two directors that are world class at pairing their scores with the visuals. And apart from Quentin Tarantino, one of the other best ones is Martin Scorsese. And you could have picked a lot of his movies here. You could have picked Goodfellas, Casino, Wolf of Wall Street, Gangs of New York, anything.
Never heard of any of them.
You know what I mean? And like, he's such a fucking world class actor or director, sorry. And every one of his movies have great soundtracks. And just like Quentin Tarantino, he seems to have this massive obsession with pairing the right song with the right scene in the right moment and capturing the performance and capturing it all. And it's just, he's such a world-class director, and he had to be somewhere here. And just these other movies kind of hit me more in the fields. And that's why I said it's a very personal list, because music and all those other movies kind of hit me more in the fields and they bring me back to certain periods of my life.
I remember what song was playing when they started finding all the bodies.
Oh shit.
Trying to remember. Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
that's where my brain goes.
I'm not as good with naming songs as I am in naming movies.
But yeah, but it was a phenomenal
Goodfellas
movie. Recently lost Ray Liotta, still stings. Thank you for the memories.
Layla. Yeah. Probably get sued if I play it.
No, Jesus, for the love of God, don't play it.
As long as we don't get, we just get demonetized. It's not like demonetized already, but
yeah, exactly. You have to get monetized.
Yeah,
like jokes on them.
Jokes on you.
Yeah,
nobody loves us. Jokes on you. But
if you do love us,
hit like and subscribe. Oh, guys.
God,
stop.
No, stop.
But don't stop.
Don't ever stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Hold on to this feeling. Dream.
Okay, shout out to Sopranos, apparently.
Yeah. Man, we have to do a best TV show.
That's definitely on the horizon.
Yeah, I already know a couple of them.
Yeah,
but I had to throw Aidan Goodfellas here mainly because of how talented the director is, pacing or parent scores or soundtracks with his movies and shit. Martin Scorsese is so good at doing it. Him and Quentin Tarantino are probably the best at doing it. But as I said, the other movies hit me in the fields a bit more. I found myself singing the songs more.
Exactly.
Or listening to the soundtrack. So that's, for me, they were the best soundtracks for me because they're the ones that influenced me the most or impacted me the most. But,
what did we miss?
Yeah. What do you mean, what did we miss?
In the comments, what did we miss?
Oh, yeah. So if we missed that, and just fire it away. Give us your list. We like every episode of Rankers, we'd love to see people's lists because we love to know how wrong we are. Because generally in our day-to-day lives, on a moment-to-moment basis, we're incredibly wrong individuals.
How wrong?
Yeah.
We are. Shit, I pointed the wrong way twice. And then I went like there.
You're supposed to be pointing to like and subscribe.
Am I pointing at you right now?
I think so. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm not sure what way did like and subscribe would be positioned at the bottom.
Yeah.
At the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
Just is down there. We just point directly down there, like subscribe, whatever.
If you want to watch a new video, look here and here and here.
If you want to watch a new video,
can you take care of that when it goes up on YouTube?
Hit the bing
here and here and here.
Yeah. But there won't be any graphics. But like, so like that's my list, Noel, and obviously I had 2 honorable mentions against the rules, but Goodfellas had to get an honorable.
Nah, you have to get a shout in. You got a shout in. That's cool, man.
So, do you have anything else you want to say about?
No, I think I'm soundtracked out, and I'm definitely going to have to watch her brother who are out though.
All right, cool. Yeah, me too. And before we get the fuck out of here, folks, I'm your host, Fitz Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Toohey.
And we are Pair Rankers, and that was our best soundtracks. And see you next time, motherfuckers. Peace.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Take it away, Noel. Electric triangle solo.
All right, folks. Thanks for staying with us.
Please like and subscribe.